What are some examples of different negotiation styles?
There's 5 typical negotiation styles that we usually refer to that are very fluent, of course, and they're not a strict separation, but that people have tendencies to be. That being first the competitor, the competitive negotiator, who is rather on the assertive edge, someone who tends to be very assertive for their own interests, but isn't as receptive to the needs and interests, to the communication of other people. Competitors tend to be people that are very comfortable with conflict and are very comfortable when it gets a bit louder and they have to stand their position in the negotiation. The second style would be on the other end of the scale would be the avoider, someone who doesn't really like to get into conflict, tries to avoid dealing with it too much, is not very assertive on what their own needs are, but also not very receptive, to use that scale, also not very receptive to what other people would need. They would rather withdraw and hope that it will just solve itself if we just wait long enough. That's the avoider style. In contrast to the compromiser, someone who usually tends to try to just split the baby or cut the pie in the middle and say, you give some, I give some, we'll meet in the middle, we're all in the same boat here. That would very much be compromiser style. I said earlier, leaving us both unhappy. We're both getting only half of what we wanted. The fourth style would be the accommodator. That's the person that is putting the relationship first mainly and trying to accommodate, as the name says, the interests of the other side. So they're very receptive to the needs and the interests of the other, but they tend to suffer a little from a lack of self-assertion, of working for their own interests. So they'd rather put the relationship and the other side first before their own interests. That's a typical accommodator style. And then there's the fifth type of negotiator is the collaborator, someone who enjoys working together, someone who I've met people who said, I love negotiation. It's like a riddle and you're trying to find out how to solve it. So that attitude very much explains the collaborator who tries to really look for a way to make both people happy and to get a deal that works for both of them without rolling over each other.